Welcome to my second devlog for Viral Shooter. This is a game jam game that I produced in 1 week for the not the Ultimate Game Jam, the file-based game jam together with Game Dev HQ. And yeah, this is a game that I've been working on. We submitted it and participated, and it was a fantastic game jam. I don't know if you can see here, all of the entire environment and all of the assets that were used were taken straight from Filebase, and Filebase helped me put together an absolutely fantastic level. A little of which I still need to tweak myself, but as you can see, I mean, each of these assets are high quality, and Filebase is pretty much the Netflix of game assets for you to use. So if you're keen on making something similar, please make sure that you get yourself linked up with Filebase, linked up with Game Dev HQ. Get yourself that yearly subscription, and make sure you subscribe so that you can use all of the assets that they have there in Filebase. So this game is something that I've been working on for a little while, because even though we've sent it through and participated together with everyone else who participated in the file-based game jam, this is a game that still had a game-breaking bug. And so here was the issue. The issue was that everything would work beautifully. So I'm going to run the game now here in the editor, and just for those of you who don't know what this game is about, so you're a person, a cop, and as you can see, we're busy walking through the house right now, and the house doesn't have. Oh, you saw one of my test figures kind of walking across the screen, which I have to remove. I've got a bunch of test figures in here, and I'll explain that later. But basically what happens is you can't see any of the enemies, and once you go in, here we go, you grab the hazmat suit, and there's a clipping issue still I need to sort out. And once you got the hazmat suit, you can see all the enemies. Now, that giant zombie there is not supposed to be there, so another one of my test figures. But as you can see, each of these little alien dudes are basically the virus, which will come at you, and they will add in the bottom left-hand corner. You can see they'll add to your infection count, or bring down your armor. Yeah, when they touch you. So, oh, I've got like got something busy pushing me. I don't know what that is. So we're just gonna see what exactly is happening here. I think there might be something. Let's have a look. Okay, there we go. Right. So, and the idea is you get the hazmat suit and gotta move across. But once you go out and find some weaponry, we can find sanitizer. There we go. So when we shoot the guy, and there we go, he reacts, and the raycasts are working beautifully. So this is what was happening. It was working beautifully in the editor, but unfortunately, every time I built the game directly after build, the raycasts just wouldn't work. I would shoot about 7 to 20 times, and nothing would happen. And then once or twice, it would sort of catch. And I had no idea what to do about this thing. So at first I thought it was all about the raycasts. I really thought that the raycasts were the thing that were busy making it happen. And so I started trying different things individually. So we're going to come to the Game Dev HQ community here. Beautiful community. And this is one of the benefits you get together with Game Dev HQ if you sign up. So go ahead and join this lovely community of people who are willing to help with your gaming needs. Excuse me. So I've just posted a discussion here, and I had to ask my question. I said that the shoot mechanic works beautifully in the editor, but it doesn't work after the build. And here I put a list of all the different things that I tried to solve the problem. So I tried using debug.log to ensure that the script was running the desired code, so it showed me that it was damaging the enemy. I used debug.drawRay to confirm that the ray is indeed colliding with the enemy. So what it does, which I think I still have in the editor at the moment. So let's see if we run this again. Hopefully we won't get that getting pushed issue. Right, so I'm just going to go in here, and go grab that hazmat suit. There we go. And oh, there we go. You can see my armor is getting eaten up there because people touched me. And ooh, that's a bit weird. So I'm gotta go and grab that and see what's happening. So right, if I shoot, you'll see there's a green ray. There we go. There's that green ray. And I'll shoot again, and there's another green ray. So I used a debug.log with the draw ray to go and make sure that the ray was actually touching or actually firing off. And if you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, so we're just going to escape here, the bottom left-hand corner right here, it's I put down a debug.log telling me exactly what I'm hitting. So we used that to try and debug it. And let's go across again. Sorry, to GameDevHQ. There we go. So we tried that. I specified a length for the ray. We used mathf.infinity to make sure that it's going all the way through. I unspecified the length for the ray. At first, we did we did a layer mask, and I'll explain that now because the layer mask I didn't do it quite properly in the beginning. And then later I found how to do that. But yeah, I used Visual Studio's debugging tools to set a breakpoint to step into the code, and it didn't show me anything. There was a lot of talk on the internet about using output.txt, the player log file, just to see what the errors were. Now, there's a whole bunch of printouts, that you've got to find in the like sort of in the metadata, in the data files that's in your C drive, that's kind of far away from where your actual game sits. But yeah, but once you find it, it's actually called player.log, and it's not called output.txt anymore. But it does produce a file, and you can see kind of the errors or what's been happening as you play your game. But it's a bunch of information that me as a budding indie developer, I'm actually not quite sure of what some of that information is, and so yeah, it's really hard to try and decipher it. I'm wondering whether we can find some of that metadata here. Let's have a look. Resources. Yeah, you see, it's not quite here. You don't quite find that there. Player.log. It's not here. Yeah, it's somewhere in the C drive with Unity in the Unity folders. And you're gonna find it. So I'll do another video at some point just to show you where to find that. But yeah, for now, so I did that. I exported the package and re-imported it into a new project. Then I installed a new version of Unity and built the project there. And still, it wasn't catching. The ray was firing off. It was looking great, and the collisions were happening. But once you built the game, it just didn't want to detect. It didn't want to shoot the gun. I still couldn't understand what exactly it was. So I tried a bunch of things, many different things, and you can see, take a read here of all the different things that I did. So after about 2 weeks of experimenting, one of the things that I found in John Weinberger's course, which was absolutely phenomenal. Each one of his courses at GameDevHQ has been phenomenal, and each of them hold principles that you can use and reverse engineer to make your game better or to apply to your game. So I was busy learning the Ultimate Guide to Mobile Game Development, and there it's a side scroller, but he was using raycasts to detect the ground to jump. And that raycast, that raycast concept, in order to ensure that you weren't jumping multiple times in the same, like with multiple button presses, you had to use a layer mask to ignore the player and ignore certain things in the scene, because the ray was detecting the player. So the ray was detecting the player, and you had to use a layer mask to ignore that. And so once I did the layer mask properly, so we'll go into my code here, and as you can see, here we go. We'll go to the shoot script. Let's go to the shoot script. It's going to take a little bit of time just to not responding there. There we go. Here we go. So I'm having a look at there we go. So if you can see here, we've got, so here's my little function for the sanitizer shoot, and all these things are busy happening here. And here we go. I've got my raycast. Now my raycast is shooting from the viewpoint array, which is the center of the screen. And now we have a look here, saying if physics.raycast, we specify the origin, we let the output, which is the hit info, come out, and we specify the length of the array, which is math.infinity. And here's the big thing: you can't just so part of using the layer mask correctly is specifying in the editor. So let's go to the editor here. You'll see that when I look at say VirusMan, so VirusMan is one of my enemies, and here in the layer, the layer is enemy here. Right, so I specified that as enemy, and I also had to remove the attack collider. So the attack collider is the collider that I use to detect the player. Once it detects the player, then it disappears and it adds to infection count. Right, so this I had to put on its own layer, attack collision. And if we drop down the layers, so the enemy layer is number 9, and I put all the enemies on layer 9, and I had to put the attack collision colliders on the attack collision layer. And I've done this if I call up rune triggers here, like even in the kitchen trigger, I've got about 5 virus men that you'll fight there, and here's the enemy, and you'll see that's on the enemy layer. But if I drop him down, here's my attack collider, and it's on the attack collision layer. And what that will do is it will, if you set the array to fire out and detect only the enemy on the enemy layer, then then it'll detect only the enemy on the enemy layer, and it will ignore the attack collider that is sitting on the attack collision layer, which is on level 10. So what we've done is we've specified using the bit shift operator, and that's what John Weinberger taught in his course, to use the bit shift operator, because the layer mask is a 32-bit array that you have to specify. So he explained it as if you think of a sort of a block with 32 numbers, and you've got to sort of iterate through that block to change the zeros to 1. Well, we're going to change one of the zeros to 1, and on which row or which number of the number, sorry, which level of that number are you going to be changing? We're looking at number 9, right? So we're going to do 1 bit shift 9, and that's how to use the layer mask, and the layer mask works beautifully. But even though I set that completely down, and it worked fine, and in the editor it showed me exactly that I was only hitting the virus man. If we have a look at our console here, I was only hitting the virus man and not attacking the attack collider or anything. It still didn't want to catch. It still didn't want to show that ray affecting the enemy once it had built. So I spent my time racking my brain over what it could be, and I realized, well, perhaps it's not with the raycast. Perhaps the problem is not with the the enemies at all. Having sorted all of those things out, and I'm still very grateful for this problem, because it showed me that how to do the layer masks properly to make sure that there weren't any extra problems with the enemy. But right now I had to have a look at where the problem was, and I thought maybe perhaps it's it's got something to do with the model. So I tested various models, and that's kind of why earlier on you would have seen like a giant zombie in the bedroom, and these two guys who are randomly there. Those were my test figures to try and test out what this could be. Maybe it was the size of the model, maybe it wasn't the right kind of model, but it wasn't any of those. So the next thing I looked to, and here's the crux, is I looked at my GDHQ FPS controller, and I really thought maybe it's got something to do with this. And then I decided to review, because I thought, well, maybe I'm going to do the first-person controller again. Maybe it's about not using GameDevHQ's one, and maybe it's about me creating my very own controller. But in the process of that, I needed some guidance, and luckily in the Udemy version of the Ultimate Game Guide to Game Development, I started looking at the player setup and the player movement, and right in the beginning, there it is, John Weinberger himself helping me once again with his theories, stating that, and this is something that, at the time when I did this part of the course, it wasn't relevant to the context, so I didn't pick it up. But now, having rewatched it, and I think it's really so important to rewatch courses because there's so many small nuggets of information that you can pick up quite easily. But this is what I figured out. Right in the beginning, he said that to make the first-person controller, we were going to use the character controller. And to use the character controller in Unity, what it does is it helps you to move your character without having to use a rigid body. And that is something that stood out to me because I previously had a rigid body attached to the GameDevHQ FPS controller, and that's something that I added. And the reason why I added is because all throughout the courses, I remember a rule being said that you need at least one object having a rigid body in order for the collisions to occur, to be detected, in order for like the gravity to happen as well. And I put one on my bad guy, so all my bad guys definitely have a little rigid body here. There's a rigid body, but I put one on the controller because I thought, well, if he doesn't have a rigid body, he's going to fall right through the floor. But little did I think that I had already created a navigational mesh, and that nav mesh is the one that's actually sort of keeping you on the ground. And on top of that, the character controller itself inherently, by the nature of its design through Unity, allows you not to have a rigid body. So by putting a redundant rigid body on the controller, made it redundant, and it started catching after the build. And now, once I had removed it, absolutely fantastic. It actually works in my build. And yeah, I think it might take a little bit of time to show, but let me show it anyway. Obviously, this is a version. This is just a very quick test version, so you can see. Here we go. I've got Viral Shooter 2 build, rigid body on main character removed. I built it, so let's run it. Let's see what it does. You're going to see some of my test characters in here, and obviously I will make. I'm going to clean this up now. I've just figured this out in the last few minutes, and I'm ecstatic. I'm absolutely ecstatic because this thing was breaking me. It was absolutely breaking me. There we go. I even constrained the screen to 1024 by 768, but now I don't have to. So now I can clean that up. But there we go. There's my menu, and we can click play, and there's my loading bar. So while this thing loads, I will continue talking about just how incredible the GameDevHQ courses were, because my answers were all there. I really did do a lot of research, and I read up and down, in and out, and just could not get this thing right. And I spent really 2 weeks thinking hard about how the raycasts work, and I found 3 different ways, through GameDevHQ, through Brackeys as well. I used the Brackeys version of raycasting for a first-person shooter. I tried so many different things, and 30-something builds later, I'm going to be showing you, the results now once it loads. I mean, it is a pretty hefty program now, just because there's a whole lot of very high quality assets pulled from GameDevHQ, and it's kind of sitting through my poor little laptop. And there we go. Right, so it's just going to take some time to smooth out a bit. Right, there we go. And we're going to open the door. We're going to grab that hazmat suit. You might be able to hear the sound. There's my test character. Right, but it's still indicative of the disease. Yep, it's still, you can see my armor count's going down. And right, so we can't shoot anything because we don't have a weapon. So let's go get a weapon. And here we go. I'm going to open that up. So let's grab that sanitizer. There we go. And now when I shoot, boom, there we go. Every click is fantastic. That's so great. And let's see if we killed it. Let's see. 3, 4, there we go. We've got a kill count. We're going to leave that little virus man there. So now I can pick up some armor. There we go. Press E to attack. There we go. And I'm going to go down around this way. I'm going to pick up some wet wipes. Let's try the wet wipes. There we go, some wet wipes. I'm going to, oh, now I've still got a big flipping issue, which I will sort out in due course. But here we go, there's some virus men, and now they're going to come and chase me. I'm going to wet wipe them away. There we go. They're dead. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is Giant One, another test character. And there we go. Actually, let's kill them with a mop. Let's kill them with a mop. So we've got the mop. And so we've got this mop. Hey, hey. And we're killing these guys like that. That's it. Done. There we go. Clean kitchen. Fantastic. Everything's catching. And I'm so proud of this now. Right, and we can interchange between the weapons. Here we go. Sanitizer, wet wipes, mop. And this is my viral shooter. So thank you so much for joining me on this little devlog. And I will see you in the next one, when I show you a better product from this game and from other games that I'm developing. So in the meantime, have a great day and peace out. We'll see you soon.